Hey, I'm here with Bill, also known as ObiWanNowitzki. If I'm saying that right, Bill, am I getting that right?
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. So, episode two. Excited to have a second manager on. Excited to talk about some MFL, talk about some different things, and just uh, looking forward to getting to know you, getting to know a little bit about your story and your history in MFL, because you've basically been here since the very beginning, right?
Yep. Yeah, before the first drop.
Awesome. So one of the questions I have for all the managers, but really interested to hear your answers, kind of how did you find MFL? How did you get started in the game?
So flipping NFTs is how I got in. Yeah. So we used to bet a lot of sports with some friends, and then it started with the DraftKings stuff, flipping those, and then they're like, "Hey, we're in Top Shot and all that stuff," and then I'm like, I wonder if there's something with some utility, because I don't care about NFTs themselves, but you know, uh, I wanted something with some utility, and then I came across some article that was saying all these. There was like drivers, and then there was this, and there were a couple other ones, and MFL sounded the best, so yeah, I jumped into that.
Nice. So you said DraftKings. DraftKings is a discontinued product. I think it was
Yeah,
only
yep.
available in the States. Did you play? Because technically those had utility as well. Were you playing and doing fantasy sports with DraftKings?
A little bit, but not really much. But they actually had some before those rainmakers, is what they were called. They had some before those that had like Tom Brady and Tiger Woods and those kinds, and those were going crazy for those. I think those are discontinued now too. Yeah, that's what we started with.
Gotcha. That's really interesting. I knew about rainmakers and
Hmm.
dabbled in rainmakers, not very aggressively, but thought the idea was fun.
Hmm.
And then was excited for the next season, and they discontinued it for a variety
Yep.
of reasons. That's probably a different
Hmm.
show, but um, so were you involved in the beta seasons of MFL, the like .6 season and everything
Oh,
there?
yeah. Even before that, we used to have a little bot in the Discord, and the bot would play the games, right? So it would say in a chat, "Oh, this guy kicked it here, this did that, and whatever." And so yeah, we used to play. It would hook with that. No, so the guys in the beginning actually got, some of your guys you've been able to use for 2 years already, So.
Yeah, it's funny. I joined kind of transition of season one to season two,
Hmm.
and things feel um, like the timelines feel really big still, even with kind of the
Hmm.
seasons, and kind of looking back at the history. The game had so much history before season one, I'll say. It's really interesting to kind of see all that, and then it just feels like it's flying now. Um,
Hmm. Oh
so,
yeah, it took us a year and a half, I think, before the first usable game. So then it was just a ball bouncing on the screen. It was just a little dot bouncing.
I
Um,
I've heard some different people talk about this. I think the growth of the game has been at a very good pace because the
mhm,
game didn't grow too fast. One of the things that I think can be challenging is if the game grows too fast for the company. It does not feel that way. From what I've seen, the game feels fluid when there's feedback and ideas. The responsive time is very good.
mhm.
The engine updates are very good, and it feels controlled. It doesn't feel unmanageable or out of control, and I think that's really important. Um, I'm sure it was tough to kind of go through that year and a half without seeing that spike,
Mhm.
but it's probably for the benefit in the long run. I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's fine.
Um, awesome. So, one of the questions I love to ask, just show how much of a global game this is if you don't mind, tell me a little bit about where you're from.
From Terre Haute, Indiana, which is in the middle of the east part of the U.S., basically. Um, right next to me, Central Time Zone. I'm in the Eastern, but about 70 miles west in Indianapolis is where we're from.
So you close to Indy. Are you an Indy fan?
Yeah,
Would you say that Is there any team that's a favorite team?
No, I can't say. My favorite team's the Dallas Mavericks basketball. Yeah, yep. I don't really have a soccer, football team, but yeah, no, the Mavericks. So every one of my best players gets 41. Dirk Nowitzki.
So it's funny. You and I were chatting. I had a couple questions that I want to ask every guest that I have on. A couple different reasons. Some of it's just fun. Some of it I have a little bit of strategy or purpose behind. The number question was not intended to be one of them. Bob and I talked a little bit about the number 44 and what it means to Syracuse, and I'm thinking that may need to be a question that's included for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know that everyone will have an answer, but it sparked some interesting responses because you have a number 41 it's not a soccer, it's not a football number, but it's unique to you, and the top guy gets 41. So is it the top guy with every team, or just one
it's
guy?
my favorite one on the team, so it doesn't necessarily have to be the best guy. Just like there's some guys that had 2-3 years almost now, so you get to like him. Now you can't tell by the photo who it is. I used to be able to, but now after last week, you can't really tell anymore.
Yeah. So what's your? I was going to ask a bit later, but what's your kind of your quick first take on the new photorealism project and how everything's kind of turned out?
Well, if it started that way, I'd love it. But it's just you get entrenched. Plus, it just kind of killed. I had Man Bun United. Right, and everybody on there would have a man bun, and now I've got 635 players, and one has it. So it kind of just killed that team.
Yeah,
but yeah, so I don't like that. But no, if it brings more people, I'll take that hit.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I think there's a lot of managers with kind of that same general feel, right? Where there was specifics about maybe one player or a group of players or a team that we were building that had green hair or whatever. And some of those things that we chased and we bought the NFTs for those reasons, we lost them. But there's kind of also that respect for the growth, right? And whether that's interviews post-game or more users because it's more realistic, I think everyone's kind of on board, which is a good sentiment. So one of the questions I do want to ask everybody is, do you have a favorite player or favorite players that you want to call out?
Yeah, I mean, Obiara, Isaac Obiara is probably the second guy on my list. Just because I kind of collect one's name with the name OBI, start with that, right? Yep. so I call him the king of the Obies. He should be the number 2 guy.
Yeah.
Just right up there. Yeah. Yep. Then Coleman Harris, I like him. He's he just destroys leagues because he was a really good striker in the beginning. He's 87 now, but back in the day he was just dominant but people have surpassed him.
Yeah.
And those are probably my 2 favorites.
Did Coleman Harris, there was a tweet that was going around with the top goal scorers and all of the MFLs. I think Coleman Harris is on that top 10 list, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably. Yeah. He's gotten he was the diamond boot of bronze, I think, 1 year because I got knocked down to bronze my second team. Yeah. Probably.
I think we can see on the player page. Yeah. He's gotten a golden boot and bronze, gold.
Yeah. He was a top goal scorer in all of bronze. Yeah, that year.
He's. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, silver too, I think. Yeah.
These are fun. I'm excited for the game to grow, to have more trivia, I guess, right? Whether it's top scorer in this league or top scorer overall, and there's so many more third-party sites that are getting involved. MFL Assistant, MFL Manager,
Manager,
the Hall of Fame site that was tweeting and try and tag that and shout that out in the description. The name's not coming to me, but these kind of fun things, it's great to see third-party sites get involved, tag this stuff, and just continue to grow the game and grow the fun of the game is really exciting. So you mentioned 636 players. I pulled some stats up. 24 clubs, and you've got 60 trophies.
Yeah.
So was the dream or the vision always to have a ton of teams and a ton of players? Is it kind of grown organically?
No, it wasn't. Yeah, every season I say I'm going to have less, and I never do. So, no. I mean, once they put all the Indiana teams in there, and I think I've got 5, and then I bought one and run another one with my brother. I think there's 6 total that we own. Yeah, and and then I always have to buy the special, each at the beginning of the season where you get an extra pack or whatever.
Yeah.
I've always got to do that. Like I say, I'm not going to, and then I always do. So.
Do you stack the hometown teams? Or is there an indie team or a hometown team that you're like, I want them in silver or bronze?
Yeah, we do. It's those are the ones that I do the most. Sycamore City, which is the one my brother runs right now, just because I've got too many. Our Terre Haute hometown one. Yeah, that's the most stacked probably. We don't. Yeah, I haven't stacked it as much as I want this season. I think I should have did a little more.
There's a fun balance there between wanting to be responsible, for lack of a better word, make sure that the players are progressing, and that, and then just like, I'm going to stack it. I'm winning. I'm going to crush everybody. I'm going to have a 200 goal differential at the end of the year, and I'm going to get promoted. But you have so many teams. It's going to be a little hard to balance that.
Yeah, it is. Yep. And I use all my players pretty much.
Yeah.
I only have a very few. I think two on the Toros, and that's it that I've brought in.
Wow. Okay.
I think that's it from all the teams.
So how long does the team building process, when rollover day happens and you've got to build out the teams, what is that like for you? Are you basically just taking the top rated players and then working down? Are you starting with a team? How complicated is that? I have 3 teams, and I have a spreadsheet, and I feel like it's hard for me.
It was hard for a while, but now I've kind of used the auto renewal, and that helps tremendously. So it's just plugging the next best player in mostly, because at the top I've really just got some version of a 4-3-3. So I think my top 3 teams are all 4-3-3s. It's just, that's what I transitioned to when they started 4-3-3, because it wasn't one of the main ones when they started, and there was like nowhere to use wings at one point.
That's interesting. That was before my time. I feel like those key pieces have been kind of ironed out since I've been here, and I think the game's in a good spot. Is there like a piece of feedback or a suggestion that you feel like you're like, the game needs this, or I want this, or is there something that you're kind of still yearning for in that space?
Yeah, no, just delegation is it. I know they don't want to prioritize that. They said they have, and then they did, and they have. But that'd be great for someone like me. I know I was listening to Trust today, and he was talking the same thing. And I would buy more clubs if I could pawn them off on somebody like that. Because I love just creating games. Just coming up with the branding and all that.
Yep.
That's one reason why I have so many.
That's the next question on my list is how did you feel about the outsourcing of clubs and club management? Because
I'd love it. People are always asking for can I run the club free? No, but no.
I think there's probably a great opportunity there as well for recruiting new players. I've got a acquaintance that I know that I can't get hooked all the way in. I think if he would start to play, he'd be hooked and he'd be full speed. And I'm thinking if I got a Spark or a Flint team and just loaded up some 55 players and said, hey, have fun, go manage it, and just play the game, I think he'd be hooked. I think he'd have 3 teams next year and then probably 10 the year after that. I think it's a great onboarding tool if you can have kind of a co-manager or something like that, and then sorting out how does it all work, right? Like, how do you do it for percentage? Do you do like a 5% of the MFL, or is that a slider that you can negotiate like we can with players? And how does that all work?
I mean, you could put clauses in, like if you finish here, finish there, whatever, you get a bonus. Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah. I think there's probably another realm. I'm sure a couple seasons from now we'll be talking about the new update and the outsourcing of clubs or whatever they call it. I'm sure it'll be branded much better than that, but I'm sure we'll be talking about it and it'll be the next big feature. From this most recent release, kind of the modified brand, what was the biggest thing that you liked? What was your favorite kind of takeaway from the new look of MFL or the new feel?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it was nice seeing everybody having fun and meeting up and everything. That was nice. I'm still getting used to the logo because it doesn't really look like any MFL that I know.
Yeah.
I mean, photorealistic. I mean, if it helps, it helps. But I don't know. I'm kind of. I want to see how the footedness goes and how that works out. And if it really does matter, if you're kicking a corner with the right versus the left, or however, I'm not sure. It'd be kind of cool if you could see it. There's supposed to be more indirect shots and more curves, I think, of the ball is what they were saying. I haven't tested all that much. I've been too busy this last week getting everything ready and a couple other things going on in my life. But yeah.
I felt like when it first dropped, I was testing pretty well, and then I realized that I had my teams registered, but registration deadline was Sunday, and matches start tomorrow as we record Tuesday night. And I'm excited. I'm excited to check the progression charts every morning and watch real games, not friendlies, and see how everything goes. Yeah. So should be a blast.
Yeah, I think we got less than 12 hours right now.
Yeah.
before the first progression. See if some of my guys shoot up there.
Yeah. So for you, is progression or promotion something that is more rewarding?
I mean, they go hand in hand, but probably the progression, I'd say, is a lot more fun because you check it every single day, 2 or 3 times a day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a lot more fun. Plus, in the top tier, I have to promote the diamond, right?
Yeah.
I mean, basically, I'm fighting relegation more than I'm looking for promotion. Up in the platinum with the Toros there, and they used to be the top team before progression.
Yeah,
I wasn't too happy. My top guy got hit with the retirement badge.
Yeah,
if you see up there, yeah,
it's
Garbinko is 96. Yeah,
it's terrible on rollover day. You kind of peek through and that hurts, but it's part of the game. I think it's a good part of the ecosystem. It's gonna suck every time it happens, but I think it brings a much needed balance.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be a lot better if you were Yeah, because he started as I think a 26-year-old. So I haven't even had him that. I mean, an 86 overall 26-year-old. You know, and he shot all the way up to 96, and then we're done now.
I
Like
I bought a center back that I think was minted at 27, and I think I bought him at 28. And I was thinking he was minted later on. He'll have extra years in him. They'll balance it out. And I had him for a year or two, and then the progression death popped up, and I was like, I think it was at 31 going into 32, and I was like, man, that did not work out.
Yep.
But
I think I had one for half a season. I think I'm not sure, but I think it was half a season. I got at the mid drop, and I think he hit the retirement that next half year there.
I feel like we should get a redo on those, right? Like,
yeah,
just some MFL something. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully that's something that they'll look at. I know that they look at players to clubs, the number of players being minted, and the ecosystem as a whole. But I don't know. Sometimes you got to take the good with the bad. You got to take the 17-year-olds with the 27-year-olds. But the 17-year-olds are a lot more fun. That's for sure.
So I pulled a 77 16-year-old. I could not sell the guy last year. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if there's less of a I don't know if people paying less for him now or what. But.
It's interesting. I feel like there's been a huge premium for the teenagers, and I've typically, if I pull a teenager, I've been trying to sell them on and grab a 23, 24-year-old and load up with a couple of those. And I know everyone has kind of different strategies, but with the peak age and all that, you get the extra years of utility, but I don't know that a 17-year-old is guaranteed to progress a ton every year. And we look at the progression charts, and you've got guys with tons and tons and tons of overall progression. And a peek into this guy, I don't know what's behind here, but so he was a 19-year-old, but he's progressed quite a bit year over year.
Matino, he was in the dev center for four seasons.
Okay. Man, that's really nice.
The first four he was in the dev. Yeah.
50?
He went straight from dev to silver or bronze. You know.
That's
he was a 50 rated, I think. He's 85 now, 86.
86. Yep. It's not showing. Yeah. I've popped out the extension and it's not capturing it, but 86. He's had really good growth. He started as a 55-ish, I think. And then looked like he was
50. He's plus 36.
Yeah. You're right. I'm not prepared to do math on stream. It's a little too bold for me, but nope, you're absolutely right. 50 to 86. I mean, that's fantastic. So that's
if exciting. If you have enough players, you'll get it. You know.
Yeah. We both watched Trust today on Laird's stream, and that was one of the things he said. And it is a numbers game, and the more players you have, if you've got 30 guys, they're not all going to jump up plus 30, but that's got to be one of the best feelings, is to get the plus 20, plus 30 guy on there, and just watch them fly up. The plus 2 in one day is something I haven't had yet, and this year, though, for sure this year, we got plenty of plus 2s coming our way. So.
He had multiple, just that one player had multiple plus 2s,
Yeah. So you have over 600 players. How are you going about acquiring players? Are you primarily packs? Are you scouting the marketplace? How are you going through there?
99% is packs.
Okay.
Just packs. Back in the day, you used to be able to the green packs, the standard packs. You could get, they were $20 a piece. You could get 10 of them, and I'd just buy 10 of them each time. $200 for
And now
60 players. Is that no? That's not right.
Yeah. Now they sell out in 8 seconds and
for
they're
30. Yeah.
floaty.
Yeah, but back then they'd have some left over where you're tempted to just go grab another one. And just eventually, I just bought as many as I could. Luckily,
Yep. So are you
that
rinsing and refreshing back in your club at the end of every season? Are you hoarding MFL? How are you kind of treating these teams?
Well, I buy one legendary pack, and then figure out what to do with the rest. So whether it's I think last season it was buying a bunch of Colin packs and just ripping and ripping and ripping, and then just seeing what happened. Progression wise, and I think I got one or two that were really good. That were like plus 10s last season. Something like that. Yeah. But yeah, just most of it will go to just the one legendary player, just to try to keep up with the flat and silver team that I have.
And you're using all your players. Are you loaning guys out as well, or is it primarily your guys are on your teams?
A couple. I'll lend out a couple. Like I used to have less teams. I used to have like 8 instead of 23. So I'd lend them out to the new guys and give them a free loan. I can't anymore. There's too many new guys. But yeah, I used to do that, and it was fun. You meet. One of the best things about MFL is you meet everybody from around the world. So like there's one guy that I talked to in Italy, and he doesn't speak English, so I used like Google Translate to talk to the guy. And then there's a guy in Portugal. There's a bunch of Germans I talked to, Malaysian guy I talked to. It's great.
It's one of the really fun things, and like Google and the AI is so great now that we can actually communicate with people in other countries and other languages. I know a couple times when I've tried to reach out for loans or different stuff, I've been nervous seeing a French flag or something, and I'm like, I'm going to send this guy a message on Discord in English, and he's just going to click reject. But the community's been great. It's one of the things that I have enjoyed most about MFL is the community is helpful, and it's great, and it's pretty fair.
Yeah, for the most part. But no, there was one time where one of the Indiana teams, I'm like, well, there's a guy from France that pulled it. So I get on Google Translate and I'm typing, and then I send it into the French part of our Discord, and the guy goes, "Yeah, that's my godson." So I was able to buy one of my Indiana teams from a French guy because it was his godson.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of people chasing hometown teams, and I think for the most part, everyone's been really willing to help and really fair. You and I were talking. I got my hometown team or my local team where I live, and I'm excited about that. I know there's been a lot of people that are chasing specific cities, and it's fun to do that. It's nice that people aren't overly taking advantage. People may want a little bit of a markup or a little bit of a finder's fee, but it's all pretty fair. Is there a city that you're after? Is there something kind of on your radar?
I got them. I got what I was looking for. There's 2 Indiana teams I don't have. Other than that, I got what I want. I was happy. The Terre Haute one, when it popped up, that was the one. If I didn't get that, I wouldn't be happy. Nope, I'm good.
The days are going to come when we have more people from Indiana joining. You're going to have to part with some of those teams eventually.
No, they can loan into mine. No, I'm going to keep them. Those are the only ones. Those and the 2 Dallas ones that I have are the only ones I'm 100% going to keep. Yep.
I saw that. I didn't put together. I scrolled through your team or your teams and didn't notice the multiple Dallas and just didn't put together the Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas and you mentioned the 41 in our chat, and I was like, oh, cool.
The other one's Jason Terry. I don't know if you noticed that. Yeah, Jet.
I didn't. He was a Hawk for a long time. I grew up in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And he was a Hawk for several years in Atlanta, and I think ended with Dallas. I don't know if he had to stay after Dallas.
Yes. No, after Dallas, I don't know, but he's a legend. He got the NBA trophy tattooed on his calf, and then that year after he got it tattooed, they won the championship.
That's the secret. You get the trophy tattooed on the how do we get that with our MFL clubs? How do we get?
You got to put a Toro tattoo on my arm or something.
Yeah. No. I meant get Obore to tattoo a trophy on his calf and take the team to the championship, right?
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of tattoos now. You just have to go and open them in the mode where you can see the whole player,
Yeah.
And there's some guys in their entire arms,
Yeah. Yep.
I do kind of miss the neck tattoos, though.
I've seen a couple.
I had a few of them that were like the Illuminati eye in the middle of the guy's throat.
I hope as they continue to mint new players and enhance the photorealism project that we get some more of that back. I thought that was one of the things that made MFL a little bit fun. And I know there was pushback about it being cartoony, but I like the funky hair. I like the tattoos. I like the craziness. We see it with Neymar has had a ton of very unique haircuts. David Beckham had a ton of his haircuts were all kind of normal. He just went through a bunch of them, but I hope we see that. I know there's been some conversations around. I think we're going to start to see the players age, and I hope we get to see past iterations, right? So, like if you've got Darren's story there, and he's kind of got the twist or the hair going on. Like if he ends up going bald, I hope we can see the various iterations over the years. So our favorite players will stay with us and through all their different phases. It'd be really cool to look back at an NFT and be like, oh, that was the year that the Madrid team won platinum and went up. That would be really fun to kind of have those memories like we have with our favorite clubs, right? When we see a Wayne Rooney, and you're like, oh, that was the year that he and Ronaldo, or that was, right before he went to DC or whatever it may be. So hopefully we continue to get some feedback. So
or if you ever seen the photo thing where it shows Tom Brady every single year that he was in, and then he like starts going bald, and then he's got a full head of hair. Then he gets a better chin.
Somebody off-seasoned in Turkey for sure. Somebody got some hair transplants. Awesome. So I do want to talk a little bit of tactics. I know this is not your. You mentioned that it's not where you spend most of your time on the game.
No.
But I think it's interesting. It's got to be hard or next to impossible when you've got 24 separate teams to break down tactics. Are you kind of set and forget throughout the year? Are you rotating between 3 different formations or 3 different sets? How does that look with 24 teams?
Well, at the top, they're all 4-3-3s basically, and I can move them to 4-2-1-2-1, 2. I can't remember. But I can move them, but when you get that high up, you have to put a lot of money in if you want to go wider or whatever. Like if I want to get a LMRM, that'll be thousands of dollars to get 3 of those. But so I can't really do that. But when I get down to the lower ones, they're mostly just set and forget. They're more for progression, like the lower sparks. And then you got the stuff in between where you kind of tweak them every year. But they're kind of, most of my stuff is just churn through 2, say 2 strikers, a backup that just goes through. That's most of my mid teams. But the upper ones I try to play look at what I'm against. So,
How many do you think you can kind of focus on and adjust according to teams? Is it just 2 or 3, or how deep are you going?
yeah, probably the top couple. Probably the top couple, and then the other ones, it just depends. It depends. I'll look and see who they're against, and then I'll change it up. But that's mostly the lower ones are like, okay, well, I'm playing a bad team. Let's kind of cycle my guys up early, or yeah. That's mostly what I'm doing there.
Yeah. It's still a lot, even to look at individual teams. I think even with 3 for me right now, I feel like I'm going to try and scout and try and set each one's up. I've tried to try and figure out some things in the preseason in terms of formation alignment, and I'm loaning quite a few players into each club. So trying to mash what players I can loan in, and then what formations I can run, and then adjust tactics. I think I ran into a little bit of a problem with that last year. I'm hoping that I learned and I do a little better this year, because I kind of got stuck. I ran a 4-3-3, and I didn't have great shooting from the wingers, and it left me really limited with how flexible I could be. I'm trying to leave myself an out here. So it's one of the reasons I'm curious with, you said the higher up teams are running 4-3-3. And just kind of sticking to it. I'm sure that helps you kind of learn some of the adjustments. And when you target certain teams, are you looking at any individual stats, and saying like, oh, I need one of the wingers to have a high passing stat, or I need one of them to have a high shooting stat?
No, I mean, my wingers, they just have both. They're 92s, so.
That helps.
Yeah. But, they just, both of them started 86, and now they're both 92s. But, no, a couple seasons ago, I bought a guy from McConaughey, as a backup, and he's an 89 now. But, no, they, like I said, they just, like Story, I want to say he's a 90s shooting, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. So what else can you do there?
It helps when they're 92. They're good at pretty much everything.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. It does seem like you have a little bit of some different sets. Obara's a little lower on shooting, a little higher on passing.
Yeah.
They both have great dribbling. Pace is pretty similar, but you're not giving up too much. If you're in the 92 range, you're not giving up too much. So that helps. But it was one of the things that I am curious about is matching tactics with what the players do well. I've tried to just copy and paste a few times, and I'm like, it worked for him, I'm going to do it too. And then it doesn't work. And then I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like, oh, he had 80 passing from an uncommon, and he's just dropping long balls. I was doing some friendlies yesterday, and one of the teams kept killing me. Both of his wingers had like mid-80s passing in a nice team, and they were just dropping huge diagonals to his striker, and he's got great shooting. And I'm like, well, that's a fun tactic. You just get 2 great passers and just fireballs over the top, and the striker just bangs them in. So I'm trying to learn some of the tactics. I'm far from a tactical genius. So, but like learning about different approaches, like learning about how you manage it with such a big team, and just having everyone be great at everything is a easy solution.
Yeah.
So.
No. Yeah. The top 4 are just nuts. There. I got a 96 shooter that I pulled. And Karpinko behind the 2 wingers. You can't. I mean, there's you can't go wrong with any of those guys, really.
Yeah. Yeah. That's having good players is one way to offset that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anderson. And then then the second team is just everybody passing it to Colmenares and just having him around the goal and just knock him in. It's kind of what you're hoping for there. You know, yeah. I think he's 94, 95 shooting, but he hasn't moved much from there.
It's hard to go up from 95.
I know. Yeah.
But you've got a couple strikers. These are guys that you've pulled out of packs.
Yeah. I think I traded for Colmenares when I traded for a lot of my other legendaries. I traded Top Shot and All Day to Scrub for him way back in the day. A couple of years ago now, probably. Yeah. So that's where a lot of my legendaries came from.
Interesting. Yep. Okay. It's interesting to see how you're adjusting to, I don't want to say randomness, but the randomness of packs, and then kind of working stuff in. I have bought quite a few, and I'm trying to look for specific things. I'm looking for a center mid or a defending mid right now, and trying to balance out the different stats and what am I looking for. And I think it shows how quickly you've adjusted and how quickly you've learned over the you've been here since the beginning, but how you've kind of adjusted and learned to the hand you've been dealt, so to speak, and making that work and then fitting it in. So that's cool. I just built, the teams like whatever the, best 16, 18, and then the next best 16, 18, just built like that. So when I pull a player, I kind of know where he's going, and then just drop the next guy down. So yeah, it's pretty simple when you got a lot of clubs like that. So if you're running, most of your teams at top end are 16, 18 players per team?
16 to 18, and then 16 to 19, and then I always fill out to a 22 though, just to in case you have to throw a match here or there. Too many red cards, you're out of the cup or whatever, and just want a full, whatever. Yeah, so I always have a full 22, but really between 16 and 19 are the actual players.
Yep. I've been running 18 player teams. Part of the reason is because I'm loaning guys in. I'm trying to maximize the MFL. And I have to get creative at times. I have not had to do anything ridiculous, like run a center mid at striker or something wild, but there's been a couple times I've had to get creative with formations, and I'm like, I don't really want to be in this formation, but he's in there today, so we're playing. Before familiarity, you could have like a center back that was like, plus 15, plus 20 as a striker. I don't know if you know that, but we used to play with that. That was a lot of fun. Before season 1. It's funny because you see that in real life sometimes. If a team's chasing a game, they'll pull a big physical center back and just put him in the middle of the box and be like, just firing crosses to the big guy. I wonder if we'll ever have the ability to make late game tactics and be like, just put the big guys up front. If we give up a goal, we're losing anyways. What's your opinion on subs and kind of late game tactics and stuff like that? It's been conversation a little bit in the community. How do you feel about that?
As long as they're not live, I'm okay with it. Yeah, it's just so hard to do live, especially if you got more than a couple teams, or any kind of life at all, or depending on where you live. Yeah. The people complaining about the pack drop times. I mean, imagine if they got to play at 4 a.m. and try to do some of that live stuff. But yeah, if they're like pre-programmed, sure. Yeah. I wouldn't mind it at all.
I'm with you 100%. There's only one exception that I would kind of leave space open for is there was the big meetup in Paris, and I could think imagine if they did a live cup. I know some of the DFS sites did like live competitions where they had the managers on site. I'm sure we're a ways, but imagine that they had a meetup next year in London and they said, all right,
Mm-hmm.
we're doing a single elimination. There's 32 managers here. We're knocking out. And everyone was kind of there for the tournament. And managers could log in from their phones and make adjustments. If they did something like that, I think it would be okay. But I'm with you 100%. I've got work. I've got family. I've got other things. And even just having two ice clubs that play within 5 minutes of each other, you can't manage both.
I've had 3 clubs playing at the same time before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And part of it is being an AI engine as well, I feel like takes away some of that. But preset tactics, I think, are great. And if they can get them right, manage it. And I'm sure if we go down that path, they'll have the right system where you can put in some sliders saying like, hey, if we're leading by more than 2, then park the bus. If we're trailing by 1, then fire guys forward. We've seen lots of enhancements over the years, individual or years. I'm saying years because they're seasons, but it's really only been I've only been on the site for about 7 months. For you, it's been years.
Yeah.
Has there been one enhancement over the years that you've been like, oh, this is a game changer, this is really good?
Oh, I mean, just the game in general, just the first time that started up, and you were able to play with players that you had for, I don't know, a year already, and you were able to actually play a game with them rather than just like a little chat bot on the side of a, Discord. Yeah, that was a great time. Yeah. I'm kind of fond of those times. Or the Euros. You weren't here for the Euros. I'm sure that was last summer. So like, a guy like Karpinka, he's going to retire before internationals again. Like I have the best Russian player in the world. Even though he probably wouldn't be allowed to play, for doping anyway, right? I've got like one or two best Nigerian players, and will he ever be able to play on a? Because it was just Europeans. Will he ever be able to play? I don't know. Story did. Story was on the English team, the Jimbo line.
I feel like certainly, because the next big one is the World Cup in the U.S. Atlanta's going to host. Surely we'll have more than just Euros, and the community's grown so much. I feel like there's space. Hopefully, there's space for an AFCON or a CONCACAF or a CONMEBOL or plenty more expansions. And the team seems like they're growing as well. The dev team and the group seems like they're growing kind of their capabilities. And I've heard Jimbo talk a bit about the Euros, and it sounds fun. It sounds like a fun idea. I don't know how they would do it, manage it. There's been a ton of ideas.
It was a blast. Yeah, it was a blast. And I mean, you bought in shares of the team, and then whatever that team wanted divided by the amount of shares. It was you just root for either your guys that are on the team or root for the team to get back. Yeah, it was fun.
Did you get any bonuses if you had a player in a team? Like if you had a Dutch guy on the Dutch team?
Yeah, you did. I can't remember the percentages and stuff now, but yeah, I got, like I said, Story was on one. My center back from Serbia was on one. I had 3 or 4. Did
the managers that manage the national teams, did they pick the 18 guys in the squad or the 25 guys? How did that work?
Yeah, they picked them. Yeah, they called them up. I remember DMing Jimbo and asking if Story made the roster and give me a thumbs up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, you just had, they had, I want to say they had like videos where they showed the call-ups and all that. It'd be kind of fun to watch those again, but I mean, I think we need those. I think we need that every off season or two. I mean, I could see running just, you got how many days between you could run under 21s, or one time and then whatever.
Yep. And I think if we have content, I think if we have stuff, I think it's even easier to extend the breaks or to do different things.
Yeah. There's no way they'll extend the breaks, I don't think. There'd have to be something super special they want to run through pretty fast, especially right now. Until we get to the mass retirements, at least.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Maybe the only exception would be maybe if they did 2-pack drops in an off season instead of one. If they did like a big international tournament, I thought it might be fun to do countries per scarcity, and then obviously you'd lock in progression or maybe lock in their scarcity when the tournament starts, right? So maybe you have an uncommon Euros, you have a common Euros. They do something kind of similar now with the age groups. I know this is quite a bit different, but there's a lot of users that aren't playing in Diamond or not playing in Platinum, and they don't have these cards, and that's got to be the priority, obviously, the bigger leagues. But it'd still be fun to have some uncommon players in an uncommon tournament. I don't know how we would figure out all the details, but certainly would be fun to have Euros and have everyone kind of included and rooting for people. Maybe shares is just the answer. Maybe everyone's buying in shares and everyone cares because they're like, I got Dutch shares. Let's go, Dirk.
Yeah. Yep. That's what happened last time. And during that, they introduced Slovenia and Georgia and a couple other places. That's where they introduced them.
Yeah, that's fun. There's a great mix of nations on the game, which just adds to the fun for sure. So, cool. I don't have too much. Anything that you want to share? Anything you want to say?
No, I don't think so. Play the clowns. I don't know, the clown show. Yeah, my team, the clown show, is built to be the worst team in all of MFL.
I did not. All right, let's pull them up. Is it a Flint team?
No, it's Spark. Washington Clown Show.
You know what? I saw the team license when I was scrolling through because I was going to ask if you thought that was Washington, D.C. or Washington State.
D.C. Even though on that map thing it shows it in like the middle of Utah. So, but yeah. No, it's built to be the worst team. So I say tell people to play them, and then you'll feel a lot better about your team.
I might be running a friendly. I had a couple of frustrating losses. I lost in the Win Dirt Cup. I played the one team over and over that I said had the really good left mid, right mid that were just bombing him forward. I ran a bunch of different options, and he killed me every time. And I was like, I'm gonna go find a crappy team, and I'm gonna beat him 11-1, and I'm back.
Yeah, this is literally the worst team in MFL. Yeah, and I want it to be, So yep.
That's a fun idea. Yep. I came over from
37 or less is what I aim for. 37.
Do you think we'll drop below commons? Do you think they'll introduce a new player scarcity and drop players down into the single digit ratings?
I don't think so, but I didn't think they'd do limited or not. Yeah, I didn't think they'd do limited. So I don't know.
I guess
I don't know.
Sense.
I don't think so. I think they'll just be more usable, maybe. But who knows? We got a little while before whatever they're doing. I think Flint will be the last one. I think.
I know there's been some discussion around that, and
they're going to do something else.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Awesome.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. I'll definitely have you back on, and we'll talk a bit more.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. See you.